The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. This following program is sponsored by Causeway, LLC. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
And good evening to you. My name is Russell Mills. Thanks for joining us on Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. This is where we go digging for the digital gold. More importantly, we go digging for the information that clears up some of the mystery, some of the confusion about the new technologies. What are non-fungible tokens? What is blockchain technology? I don't know, but I know a guy who does. And he's our host. He's written a book on the topic, and he joins us here every Sunday. We are live and local in the big city with Matthew J. Moore. Good evening, sir.
We dive into this world because it will change our world. No doubt about it. I am a firm believer, and there's a bunch of people in this studio who believe this as well. So I'd like to welcome all the crypto newbies, lovers, and experts, because this is the show for you. Today, we are going to dive into a controversial topic that some of you might be thinking if you're already into the cryptocurrency space. And that question is Bitcoin scalable? Is the technology that makes up Bitcoin suitable for everyday use? Or... dun, 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 dun. Is it doomed to fail? Stay tuned, because this conversation just might change the way that you look at Bitcoin. In fact, I have my handy-dandy co-host, Eric Cooper. Eric, are you excited to jump in on this conversation?
We are already seeing how the coronavirus changed everything in our everyday lives. No matter what you thought about the actual virus is, we are doing things differently, right? There are people who are hiring remote positions. There are people who are doing everything from their phone. And so this is an awesome thing, because we got some great guests to join in on this conversation. Here in the next segment, we're going to bring in Alex Leishman. It's one of the two.
Leishman.
And it's Leishman. All right, good stuff, because I always say it right the first time, and then it's downhill from there. But he's from River Financial. We had him on a few weeks ago, and he just had a few things to say, so he's going to talk a little bit more. River Financial is a client-first financial institution, and they're dedicated to providing financial products and services that enable their clients to harness the transformative possibilities of Bitcoin. And yeah, the banking tree is about to get shook.
That's no doubt about that. In fact, that's right. River Financial is a phenomenal place for buying Bitcoin. I look forward to chatting with Alex, not only about what they offer at River, but also his thoughts on the future scalability of Bitcoin. Because if there's one person that knows, is definitely Alex. We've got somebody else joining for this conversation, right, Eric?
Yeah, and so obviously we're bringing back Charlie Spears, and he's been a regular on our show. He's a Bitcoin miner here in Tulsa, and has been. He joined us down in Miami, and he plagues my mornings, my afternoons, and my night on our Discord chat line, and he teaches me and he encourages me to learn. And he doesn't let me just stay put.
That's right. Charlie, welcome to the show.
Howdy, guys. Matt, Russell, Eric. Good to see you. Good to be back.
It's good to have the team back together.
the boys are back in town.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. So, Charlie, can you tell the listeners what you do with Bitcoin mining as far as your operation? How does that work?
Yes, so I'm with an outfit called Nakamotor Partners, and we are putting Bitcoin mining at natural gas wells. Bitcoin mining is extremely energy intensive. We are taking two birds with one stone, abundant, inexpensive natural gas, often wasted, and an energy intensive process such as Bitcoin mining, putting these two together because they're perfect industries for each other.
Yeah, well, and you've been in the space for some time, and I think what you're doing is very vital to the whole ecosystem of Bitcoin. But just like you probably hear like I do, some of the things that we often hear about Bitcoin goes the following like this, okay? Bitcoin is too slow compared to other cryptocurrencies. It's old, right? Bitcoin is not private enough. Bitcoin has no ability to do DeFi, which essentially stands for decentralized finance operations. Essentially, DeFi is more complex in that it's more than just a peer-to-peer transaction system. It's a handful of things, kind of like decentralized exchanges, which are a type of an exchange which connects users directly so they can trade cryptocurrencies with one another without trusting a third party. You have stable coins, which are a crypto tied to an asset that's outside of the cryptocurrency ecosystem. You have lending platforms, you have yield farming, prediction markets, and the list goes on and on and on. So my point with all of this, though, is that blockchain and cryptocurrencies, no matter whether it's Bitcoin or some other project, will be disrupting almost every industry. That's my belief. Okay?
And Matt, so when you're talking about disrupting, and we have listeners, you're hearing us for the 12th show, you're trying to get in. When you say disrupting, like, dig into that just a tiny. I know that we've got a lot of stuff to cover here, but
well, I mean, perfect example. I mean, what's the prominence in us writing letters to each other through the post office, or what's the prominence of us going to the library on a regular basis? I mean, in the future, what's the prominence of us going into a bank lobby?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or what's the prominence in how we vote? Blockchain records. Yeah. I mean, that's record keeping. I mean, things will look different in the future. So I think there's many applications. You got finance, you got gaming, you got art. These are some of the forms. I mean, you're also talking about forms of governance and education. The list will be extensive, no doubt. But it's my opinion that in order to fully decentralize and have a digital economy as detailed as I just described, it has to begin with a base layer of store of value, the ultimate collateral with the best security. And that's essentially Bitcoin. And Bitcoin acts a lot like gold because gold is what, best way to put it is, think about gold as like an analog technology. It's been, doing this for thousands of years for the economy as a store of value. When money comes into the crypto space, it first goes into Bitcoin because of this very reason. Bitcoin is a master at being a digital store of value with the best security. So as this digital economy evolves, I truly believe that Bitcoin will remain king. If I were to move billions into the space, it makes sense that you might want to camp it out in Bitcoin first. And it's also my opinion that everything will be measured against Bitcoin, despite some other bell or whistle that some crypto project has. Now, I'm just going to be clear here. I'm one who believes that there will be a world filled with many blockchains for different purposes. However, ones that are in existence right now, a lot of them will probably fail. It's hard to be a master of something, okay, when you are trying to be a jack of all trades. So in my mind, Bitcoin will always remain king simply because it's the master at being a store of value. Yeah. It has first mover advantage. It's the store of value use case. It has a phenomenal network effect and security. And when we were in Miami, I heard somebody say something, and I don't know if you heard this, but I want to tell our audience this because I thought this was profound. That when you look at all these other cryptocurrency projects, they're trying to solve real world problems first, and then they're moving backwards to establish a store of value use case.
I remember this.
Right? You were there.
Yeah.
And whereas Bitcoin has established the store of value network first, and then it is trying to solve other real world problems. And so I think what's happening is you're going to have competition. You're going to have these different projects, right? But we're talking about network upgrades. We're talking about second and third layer solutions that are going to be built on top of Bitcoin's blockchain. So I know that was a mouthful, but complaining that Bitcoin is old and outdated is kind of like, being mad that your modem in 1995 is not good enough to stream Netflix. I mean, that's just the nature of technology. But Charlie, do you agree with my sentiment here? We only have a few minutes. What are your quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with your sentiment that Bitcoin is the thing that which everything will reference. Now, to abstract beyond that, you talk to 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different answers, especially in the broader crypto asset space. And these are very contentious topics. I think if we weren't able to agree that this is a Bitcoin first story, then we wouldn't have a very productive conversation. But if we're able to at least say, look, the story is primarily about Bitcoin right now, Let's talk about how it scales or how the space grows around it. Does it all build on top of Bitcoin? Do other interoperable chains? What does that look like? I personally lean towards I think it's all going to be abstracted on top of Bitcoin. But again, who knows?
It's Wild Wild West.
Yeah, I'm very agnostic about a lot of this. All I know is that I would only go to sleep in Bitcoin.
Yep.
And one of the things that I did see, and I think I mentioned it on a previous show, is a lot of the developers who are doing projects on top of Bitcoin are pleading to the intelligence of other people who are trying to try other projects because they want them to hop on and build through the blockchain for Bitcoin rather than, wasting all their efforts and an entire generation of developers. So they're saying, like, we have crazy things that are about to happen here. Join us.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation, so don't go anywhere.
Another thing Bitcoin has going for it, brand name recognition. Mm-hmm. Do you reach for a facial tissue or do you reach for a Kleenex? Just saying.
Yes.
It's something that we're used to, and Bitcoin's got that going for it. Hey, we'll be back with more of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore coming up on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa on your Sunday evening. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with it, trying to sort out the meanings and find the deep info, the stuff that's going to keep you from getting burned out there in the world of crypto. We've got a guy who does that work all the time. In fact, he's happy to talk to you. You can read his book, and you might want to check out his website, mattjmoore.com, and that's Moore with 2 O's. Let's bring him in. Matthew, welcome back, sir.
That's right. Oh, that's right. My mic was off there. I apologize. Yes, this is the place to come if you are interested in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. We are literally trying to create a Bitcoin hub here in Tulsa. So consider this radio show the signal that we're broadcasting out there. We're looking for those who are already bitten by the bug or taking the orange pill. So this is the place for you. In fact, Eric, why don't you remind everybody, if they miss this show, like, where can they go?
Yeah, and a lot of people say, hey, listen, you guys are doing 5 o'clock on Sunday. I've got church. I've got yard work. I'm getting ready for Monday.
I got family dinner.
Or I've got a brain that doesn't work like that, and I haven't ever listened to anything. Go on KRMG.com. You can check out the on-demand section, and you're going to be able to listen to past episodes. Listen last week about we talked with the folks from Vast Bank who ran the first crypto.
That was a great conversation. It was so interesting.
Ran the first Bitcoin transaction
in the whole United States.
In the country. And that's a Tulsa bank, locally owned. And by the way, they're getting ready to chart all kinds of new territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
we have a lot of listeners, right? We have a lot of people wanting to check it out. I know that my friend Ashley Rawson's listening for the first time today. So if you don't catch us live, catch us on the stream, on the app, on the website, or just catch us in the past.
Yeah, KRMG's website. Yeah, perfect place. In fact, I even upload these to my YouTube channel, and we'll try to. We're going to try to get this all over the place.
Crypto Moore.
Yeah, that's my nickname, Crypto Moore, baby. So anyway, we've got in studio a regular guest, Charlie Spears. He is a Bitcoin miner here in Tulsa. Charlie, why don't you say hello and give a brief summary of what you do?
Howdy, y'all. I'm Charlie Spears, longtime Tulsan and Bitcoin miner. We're putting Bitcoin mining on natural gas wells. Company is Nakamotor Partners, nakamotor.io. We have a newsletter targeted towards energy and Bitcoin mining that goes out every Friday if you're interested.
And then also we have Alex Leishman, and he is going to join us here in just a second. He's the CEO of River Financial. And Alex, if you're with us, can you give us a little hello and give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Hey guys, it's great to be on again. Yeah, so I'm the co-founder and CEO of River Financial. You can find us online at river.com. We make it very easy for our clients to buy, sell, use, and manage their Bitcoin. And our vision is that Bitcoin is the money of the internet. And so we see ourselves as building the Bitcoin bank of the internet over the long term. And so our clients love us because we're a very client-focused company. We have great customer service. We have a phone number you can call to learn more about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's very intimidating for people. And we want to be that place where people can learn and get comfortable about Bitcoin before making any big decisions.
I love it. And Alex, like I mentioned, and I'm sure you were listening to the first segment. In the first segment, me and Charlie were talking about, people complaining about Bitcoin scalability. What is your take on this? Because my take is that Bitcoin is literally the layer one of this new digital economy. So will other blockchains exist, or is this a winner takes all, or is this, the second and third layer solutions, that are being perfected on Bitcoin? Is that where we're going?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's been a long-running debate ever since Bitcoin first started. Was how can this worldwide distributed ledger scale to serve all of the transactions on the internet? And the answer is it can't. No blockchain can possibly scale to handle every single transaction that people might make. And so when it comes to Bitcoin, I do think that this market is not a 100% winner takes all, but I think it's a winner takes most market. I think Bitcoin will be the king and stay the king. But I do think there's always going to be some long tail of other currencies that people start up and have some niche use case in one way or another. But eventually the valuable use cases, I think, will eventually get sucked into Bitcoin in these second and third layers built on top of Bitcoin. And what we're seeing right now is these second and third layers starting to really take off and maturing. The most popular second layer on Bitcoin is called the Lightning Network. And there's been a lot of development activity there recently.
Yeah. Well, it's like Bitcoin recently has been going through this upgrade as well called Taproot. And I know you are a developer, I think. Last time I spoke with you and met you in Tulsa, you were talking about your background. But it's the most recent upgrade since the SegWit in 2017. And Taproot essentially is trying to improve Bitcoin's privacy features and lower transaction fees. Can both of you guys, Alex and Charlie, Charlie, from your perspective as a Bitcoin miner, and Alex, I know from your perspective, can you give us your take on this recent upgrade and what will it do?
Sure. So Taproot it's the largest upgrade in a while, but I would actually say it's less important what it does and more important how it was done, because Bitcoin is very focused on building a secure and robust base layer. And so if you're just now listening to this show and you're not aware of Bitcoin's history, it's been very contentious. There were some big wars, pretty much literal internet wars, fought over how Bitcoin should look. And so the last major upgrade was very contentious. And so this upgrade, which is actually generally accepted and generally approved by everyone, we were concentrating primarily on doing it the right way, kind of like if in Congress or something, there's a non-controversial measure somebody wants to put forward, but we care more about the process and making sure that everyone's on the same page and that we set the stage for a healthy upgrade or a healthy future governance change when that does happen. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I think that was a great summary, Charlie. I think just one thing to add on there in terms of how it was done, and you touched on it a bit, was unlike most blockchains, Bitcoin makes a point to make every single upgrade backwards compatible. And the way to think about this is a backwards compatible upgrade is something where if somebody doesn't upgrade their Bitcoin software right away, it will still continue to work even after the network upgrades, kind of like the internet. If there are some improvements in core internet protocols, everybody in the world doesn't have to upgrade their software and their computer on the exact same day to be able to keep using the internet. Bitcoin takes that same approach where every single upgrade is not something that breaks existing functionality. And that's something that sets it apart and maintains its network effect over other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum that force everybody to upgrade when they make changes. Now, Taproot specifically, some of the functionality that it unlocks is actually pretty interesting. So with Bitcoin, there are the vanilla Bitcoin transactions where you just send your Bitcoin to an address, and if you have the key to that address, you can spend it. But there are more complex ways that people use Bitcoin using something called the script that's built into Bitcoin's protocol. And this allows you to set more complicated spending conditions to do things like open Lightning Network channels or add complex conditions to make to lock up that Bitcoin and use it for more complex use cases. With Taproot, what it does is it opens up a world where you can create very complex spending conditions, kind of like smart contracts, but for Bitcoin. But the cool thing is you can actually have these contracts completely off the blockchain. And when you send your Bitcoin to these special Taproot addresses, that smart contract is sort of secretly encoded into this vanilla-looking Taproot address. And 99% of the time, nobody watching the blockchain will know that this smart contract was actually governing the movement of these Bitcoin. Only if the participants in this smart contract disagree does that smart contract actually get broadcast to the blockchain to settle any transactions. Now, that might sound kind of complicated, but the high-level thing to take away is this unlocks a richer set of smart contract functionality for Bitcoin, but protects privacy because you actually, most of the time, don't even need to put those smart contracts on the blockchain.
So, Alex, we only have a little bit more time in this segment, but well, when we come back, we'll talk more about it. So.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to it. They make us do this news thing like at the same time every day. Have you noticed that on the radio? No sense of humor about that. Yeah, we got to take a quick time out. We'll get you caught up on the news and the weather, but we'll be back. Fear not. We got plenty to talk about here. It's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. You're listening to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday evening with us. If you're trying to wrap your mind around cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and blockchain technology, you have come to the right place, because this is where we tackle some of the mysteries and we talk about them in the Queen's English. Yes, because that makes it possible for even people like me to understand. And that's what I like about our host. His name is Matthew J. Moore. Welcome back, Matt.
Hey, guys. Hello, Tulsa. This is the place where we try to take some of these complex concepts and ideas in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology and make it in terms of layman's terms. We try to make it simple and understandable. That sometimes can be a little challenging, but that's why we bring in these guests who are actually, in my mind, a little bit more technical than I am. I like to focus on the monetary policy side of things, but Charlie here, he's a Bitcoin miner. He's here in studio with us, and I got my co-host Eric Cooper. Why don't you both of you say hello?
Hey, everybody. Charlie Spears here.
Hey guys, how's it going? And Matt, we're talking deep, right? And so Alex is going to probably dig back in here, but one thing that, in my research for the Lightning Network with Taproot and everything is most of our conversations has been, don't go spend your Bitcoin. What it was the theorem that you're going to hoard one and spend one.
Oh yeah, Gresham's Law.
Gresham's Law. So what this next thing is it's about El Salvador. It's about Paraguay, which is going to go down pretty soon, I think, right? It's taking the crypto talk not just about holding on to your Bitcoin, but using these Lightning networks to actually turn it into a form of currency and a usable form of currency. And it's going to start disrupting our banking systems pretty quickly. And we're going to see more and more happen on this, but we're going to dig in a little bit more. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, because money, when something is becoming money like Bitcoin, it kind of goes through these stages. First it's kind of this collectible experiment, and then now we've slowly moved into this store of value stage, which I still believe that we're moving into. And then after that, you have the medium of exchange, and then it becomes, after that, a real true measure of value and wealth. And so this is just a big, messy evolution that we are getting to experience in our lifetime. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, Charlie, he is a Bitcoin miner, so he helps create this new virgin Bitcoin into existence. There will only, which if you're new, there will only ever be 21 million of them that will come into existence by the year, I believe, 2140. But we bring on people like Alex Leishman from River Financial, who is our guest today as well. And he has a phenomenal company. River.com is his website. And he actually has, and Alex, you're there, right? You there, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
I'm right here.
Yeah. Alex, tell our listeners, you actually have a background in coding and development, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually a software engineer by training, and now I'm a businessman on top of that, I guess. I've been working in the Bitcoin space for most of my career. I've been a Bitcoin software engineer for about 7 years. And yeah, I even helped teach the first Bitcoin class when I was in grad school at Stanford. And so, yeah, I've been doing this a long time. I run the San Francisco Bitcoin Developer Meetup. So I'm knee deep in this stuff.
Yeah. So in short, he's really smart, everybody.
Do you see how you just glazed over like I taught this in Stanford, not like Tulsa Community College?
Yeah. Well, Alex, we kind of got pretty deep there into this new Bitcoin upgrade known as Taproot, and you were kind of explaining to the audience how that kind of works. But a lot of these concepts are new for people. Where can they learn about some of this or some of the fundamentals? Can they go to river.com and find out some of this stuff?
Yeah, we actually have a great section full of lots of information at river.com/learn. It explains everything from the very basics of Bitcoin and blockchains up to the complicated stuff and details about Taproot. So you get the full spectrum there.
That's awesome. Well, and when we're looking at this space, and we look at the Bitcoin upgrades and what it takes to actually make improvements upon Bitcoin, because this whole conversation, this whole episode is about the Bitcoin scalability and solving that issue and having this store of value, layer one money solution solved first before we start solving other real world problems with the Bitcoin blockchain. In your mind and how you could explain to a listener to give them a bit more confidence and understanding in how all of this works, the bar is actually set pretty high for Bitcoin when it goes through an upgrade process. Is that correct?
Yes. The amount of work that goes into upgrading Bitcoin is incredible. There's sort of two chunks of work. One is the work going into actually figuring out what this upgrade would be and proposing it. And then the second is convincing the completely disparate group of people that all need to sort of come together and agree on this upgrade. And that's everyone from Bitcoin exchanges to Bitcoin users to Bitcoin miners, thousands of them all over the world. And it's a ton of work.
Yeah, well, and when people are raising their hand, whether you're running a full node or you're mining, and they raise their hand and say, "Hey, we're going to adopt this new change from this development," is it 90 or 94%? How much percentage-wise does it take in your mind for the network to undergo and adopt this change without doing some kind of major hard fork?
Yeah, so this is one of the most confusing things about Bitcoin because really it's soft and fluffy how these upgrades happen. But with this recent upgrade, basically what happened was 95% of the Bitcoin blocks over a certain time period needed to signal their support for Bitcoin. And this was miners mining these blocks signaling that they support this. So it was requiring 95% of the quote unquote hash rate of the network, the mining power of the network to say, we're okay with this, we want this. Now, it still doesn't mean that other people will go along with it. We have to see, will the Bitcoin exchanges accept this? It's not a done deal. I mean, it's pretty much is, but technically it could be not adopted.
Yeah, so it's kind of like almost a democratization for the upgrade process. Is that kind of how you look at it?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, what really happens is, if 99% of actors in the network say, you know what, we want this upgrade, and then 1% don't, well, the 1% will effectively be forking themselves off of the network and kind of creating their old sort of version of Bitcoin. But like we said, this upgrade is also backwards compatible. So anyone who runs an old version of the software will by default still be able to transact in the network and be accepting this new upgrade. So they would have to go out of their way to say, I don't want this. I'm going to create my own version of Bitcoin without it now.
So Charlie, you're here in studio with us as a miner, as a Bitcoin miner. Do you have any thoughts or takes on this conversation when it comes to the upgrade process?
Yeah, this was the first major upgrade that I, as a miner, got to participate in, and because the previous one was before I got into the game here. And I got to watch live, and I watched the blocks as they happened, as miners signaled within the blocks that, yes, we want Taproot to happen. We support this upgrade. I got to watch and monitor that as it happened. That's one of the most interesting things about Bitcoin is that anybody, even you as a non-miner, Matt or Eric, you guys can watch these consensus mechanisms take place. And then after a certain amount of these blocks do signal, and I chose to mine with a pool that supports Taproot because I like this upgrade. You guys can then upgrade your nodes, or you can then support as users or people who interact with the network these upgrades. And so it's just really interesting for me to directly participate in the upgrade process, because I don't write the code. I just say I support the code.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's jump into a second layer, the Lightning Network, which we mentioned earlier, which a lot of people might be familiar with. Strike with Jack Mallers has been a big proponent, or he's using the Lightning Network with what he's doing down in there in El Salvador. And if you've been in Bitcoin long enough, you are probably either familiar with it or you're trying to figure it out or try to understand it. But basically, it's a second layer solution that's built on top of Bitcoin in order to facilitate faster and smaller transactions. And the way that I describe it in a layman's terms is that it's kind of like a payment channel you might open up between you and a merchant, and that a bunch of small transactions will take place between these two parties, but will eventually be closed out and settled as one big transaction on Bitcoin's blockchain at a later date. Alex, is my common man explanation about this on point?
Yeah, it's a perfect explanation. And I would add one other little detail, which is that it's not just a single payment channel. It's actually this network of payment channels that you can pay through. So, if I have a channel with Matt and Matt has a channel with Charlie, I can pay Charlie. And that's what's cool about this.
That's awesome. Well, Charlie, what are your thoughts on the Lightning Network?
I'm very excited for the Lightning Network. I support it. I use it regularly, more now than ever. And we're seeing it grow rapidly. This is one of the answers to Visa. Visa doesn't make the dollar. They just help you transact upon it. So Visa would be a kind of layer to or layer upon the base money supply. In the same way that Bitcoin is your base layer, Lightning or other layer twos are kind of like the Visa network. Little secret, Lightning is way faster and way better and more secure than the Visa network, though.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point, because I go back to this analog world explanation about the monetary system, and what I tell people all the time is, don't get upset or get caught in the weeds with the whole, Bitcoin scalability on the main blockchain necessarily, because when you look at the analog world, you've got this store of value layer known as gold. And then we had these paper notes that were backed by gold that you could actually go to the bank and exchange for gold. But these paper notes were actually lighter, easier to carry around. And then we had checks, so you could actually handwrite a check, sign it, right? Then you had credit cards. Then you had fintech like PayPal or Cash App. And so as this world evolves, we're going to have probably, in my opinion, a similar evolution with these multiple layers being built on top of each other. Eric, you look like you want to say something.
And it's going to be, so again, not everybody's got a bank account. That's one of the big things about El Salvador is they are 70% cash transactions. And so around here, same thing. We're going to see pennies, dollars, nickels. We're going to see this stuff kind of go away because we're going to be able to operate in a completely cash-free environment.
Alex, if somebody wanted to learn about the Lightning Network, can they also go to your website?
Absolutely. We have a lot of information about the Lightning Network at river.com/learn.
That's awesome. Well, and if you are interested and want somebody to hold your hand, if you're a listener and you want somebody to hold your hand through this space and educate yourself, and maybe you're a little timid, you can always reach out to me, mattjmoore.com. I'd be more than happy to do a consultation with you, and I've got plenty of content that I can share with you.
All right, I think we'll take a quick time out on that note. Do you have a pencil or a pen or a way to jot down notes? Because we're going to give you these websites again coming out of a break. We're going to take a quick time out, and then we'll go through those websites, because there's a couple of them you might want to look at. You might want to check them out if you're interested in this crypto stuff. And then, of course, you're going to want to come back because we got more to talk about right here. You're listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore live in Tulsa on 102.3 KRMG. We're back with more of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. It is our last segment, and man, these hours fly by. So the topic of conversation today, generally speaking, is, am I going to be able to take my Bitcoin down to the Walmart and get me a sweater anytime soon? And frankly, yeah, that's probably happening. And lots of interesting technology that's making that happen. One of them is called Lightning. And I was just reading here about this company. It's not a huge company, but they are changing the game in many ways. And their goal is to have 1 billion Americans using Bitcoin. daily in the next 10 years. Now, is that an achievable goal? Let's ask our host, Matthew J. Moore. What do you think, sir?
Oh, yeah, no, I think adoption is going to continue to grow exponentially. I mean, I think the growth of Bitcoin and its blockchain is going to outpace the adoption that we saw with the internet. You have some of the smartest people in the world working on this, involved in the network, mining Bitcoin, solving problems. In fact, some of the smartest people are with us right now. We got Alex Leishman with River Financial, and we got Charlie Spears. He's a Bitcoin miner here in Tulsa with Nakamotor Partners. Sorry. And I got my co-host Eric Cooper here with me. Eric, yes, you are smart as well. Eric, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everybody. And once again, we do this all the time, but check us out. You can go on krmg.com, look at the on-demand section, look for cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. You can go back and listen to old episodes. And just kind of recapping, one of the reasons why we're digging into something like we've been talking about Taproot, the Lightning Network, off-chain transactions, is because we like to get in front of some of the questions that happen, right? A lot of people ask a lot of questions. Why do I get into cryptocurrency? This network is up and down. There's upgrades. That paradigm shift with your iPhone or your Android phone for folks like Charlie, we have software upgrades all the time. So we kind of are starting to understand that. So we want to let you guys know that as these upgrades are happening, the upgrades are happening so that we can use this system and this environment in everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, we're reducing friction in solving real-world problems. And so, Charlie Spears, you're here in studio with us right now. Why don't you give just a really quick summary of what you do?
Yes, I'm Charlie with Nakamotor Partners, nakamotor.io, if you want to learn more. And we mine Bitcoin off natural gas. So if we find underutilized gas wells, stranded gas, or flare gas, and we use that to power our Bitcoin mines. And there's a very compelling case. I mean, here in Oklahoma, we got tons of gas. We're an oil and gas state. And a lot of those assets are suffering. What we can do is go and find ways to monetize some of these assets in new ways. It's the tech revolution come to Oklahoma. Additionally, it's also an environmental case. We can reduce the amount of methane being burnt or vented into the sky for no reason at all. So there's a lot of birds with one stone we can hit.
Yeah, added so much value to the Oklahoma economy. And we've got Alex with us on the line as well. Alex with River Financial. Are you there, buddy?
Hey, I'm here.
Awesome. Why don't you just explain real quickly what you do?
Yeah, I'm the CEO of River Financial. We're a Bitcoin financial institution at river.com. We make it really easy to buy, sell, and manage your Bitcoin. We've been talking about the Lightning Network. You can really easily get up and running with the Lightning Network at river.com. And we make Bitcoin easy for you.
That's right. We were talking about upgrades. We're getting kind of technical in this episode, which is totally appropriate. But if you've got questions, if you want to learn more, you can definitely go to Alex's website, river.com. But with all of these changes going on, this is a question for both you and Charlie, Alex. Where do you guys see the overall Bitcoin market or the outlook for the crypto space in general for the rest of 2021?
I am bullish on the whole space. It's hard to put directionally, everything's going up. When I say everything, I really mean Bitcoin.
Or is it the dollar going down?
Well, that's a great question, because a lot of people ask, what is Bitcoin actually related to in the long run? I would say, well, it's inversely related to the supply of money around the world.
Yeah.
And if the global money supply is going up, so will Bitcoin. So
in dollar terms, yeah.
In dollar terms, yeah. And so I think we'll see the mania continue for a while. The whole space has had a nice, merciful correction, so my phone has stopped exploding. But when it goes back up again, I expect the mania to continue. And I think that may happen in 2021.
Alex, what about you?
Yeah, so, I don't give investment advice, but, my gut tells me that we're going to see potentially a little bit of a boring market over the summer if it was anything like last year. You never know with Bitcoin. Tomorrow could run up to $100,000. But, if my gut tells me the summers are typically pretty slow, who knows what will happen in the fall? We'll see. But long term, I'm very bullish.
So all of us in here are essentially hodling. And those who are not familiar with that term, that's hold on for dear life. That's some crypto lingo for you. But I wanted to bring up this topic here. I want people to know who are listening to this program that they have options when it comes to buying Bitcoin. And a lot of times when volume is high, when a lot of people are jumping on trying to buy or sell, we see issues sometimes with Coinbase or other platforms. What kind of some of the issues that you guys might face as well at River? But for me, I actually kind of like the idea of doing business with you guys way better than the rest of these platforms because I just love how you guys operate.
Thank you. And you know what? Our clients love that if they have a question, if they ever need help with anything, they can just call us on the phone. You can have $10 million at an account at Coinbase and you're not going to get anybody picking up the phone for you. It's pretty crazy. We also put a lot of work into preparing for these bull markets and these big runs, because the reality is when everyone needs Bitcoin, everyone needs it real bad. And if the companies that don't prepare ahead of time to fill their clients' orders are the ones that are kind of stuck having to block trading and preventing their clients from actually making the most of these market moves. And so we put in a lot of work during the slow times, like right now, to prepare for the crazy times.
That's right. Well, and people can actually download your app in the App Store. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Just go to the App Store and search River or River Financial, and we should be the first result.
Yeah, so this is a personal endorsement. If you're listening to this, if you got to buy Bitcoin, buy it on River. If you got a dollar cost average, buy it on River. And Alex, if somebody's going to dollar cost average this summer, why should they choose River?
Well, that's a great question. We actually have 0 fees on all orders if you're dollar cost averaging this summer after your first order. So if you set up a $100 a week Bitcoin order, the first order you'll pay some fees, but then every order after that, it's completely free, no fees, and that goes until Labor Day.
That's right. Well, and if you got questions about dollar cost averaging, reach out to me at mattjmoore.com. You probably use a lot of terms that people are unfamiliar with, but would be happy to talk about it. So this basically concludes our show for today.
Yep, we're about out of time. I did tell you I was going to give you a couple of web addresses, so here we go. Got that pencil? River.com. That's where you're going to find Alex Leishman and his excellent company. And if it has something to do with Bitcoin, you can do it there. Nakamotor.com is Charlie Spears' place. .io. I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. Nakamotor, if you're wondering, is Nakamotor, named after a guy named Nakamoto. Am I wrong? Nope. And the motor part has to do with the engine that's driving. Okay, I got to get off. They're going to kick me off the radio in a second. Hey, but we'll be back here next week with more cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. See you then.